Hi everyone, and welcome to the Bear Necessities. I'm Bear, and today we are making Butterscotch Blondies. In the previous episode, or maybe not so previous, depending on when you're watching this, we made homemade butterscotch candies. That is a soft, chewy, caramelly, buttery, salty butterscotch candy. And kind of told you a little bit about the history of it, even though I couldn't find too much. So we have our butterscotch candies. I made a quarter batch, which is exactly what I need for this recipe. And let me just draw everything in here, and we can go through the ingredients. So for this recipe, first, you're gonna need to warm your hot box up to 350 degrees. That's if you're using a conventional oven. If you're using convection, it's gonna be 325. So conventional oven, you're going to have that at 175 C, and then convection is gonna be at 165. For the ingredients, you are going to need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, just regular, everyday all-purpose flour. You're good. You're going to need 1 3/4 cups, yes, of packed brown sugar. You'll need 1 cup of melted butter. You can do browned butter like I did. And again, that's just where you put it in the pot, bring it up over a medium to medium-low heat, and let it cook and just let it start browning. It will start to foam a lot, like it'll get super foamy. You just swirl it a little bit, and once the foam subsides and it doesn't make any more, it'll still have a little on the top, but it's not going to keep puffing up, then it's done. It'll be nice and dark and nutty and brown and so good. You're also going to need 1 egg and 1 egg yolk, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and then half a teaspoon of salt. And then we'll also want some salt. I'm gonna do a little bit of salt over the top of them. So you'll just want a little bit of extra. You can use sea salt or something like that, kosher salt, for the texture. It's really great. And that is it. Not too many ingredients, right? So what we're going to do is take our dry ingredients. So that's gonna be our flour. Come on. Our baking powder, there we go, there's words, and salt, and I have the salt and the baking powder in the same dish. And we're just going to make sure those are mixed together. We don't need too much of a leavening agent in this because we want them to be kind of on the fudgy side. Thank you, oven. The oven just let me know that it is ready. And since mine works as a convection oven, I'm using my little toaster oven, even though you can't see it, we moved it, obviously. It is at 325. And now that we have our dry ingredients mixed together, let's take our wet ingredients, which includes sugar. And first, into the butter, we're going to add our vanilla. Sorry, not the butter, the brown sugar. Y'all, I swear I'm here today. The brown sugar and the vanilla together, and then we're going to crack in our eggs. Now, like I said, it's 1 egg and 1 egg yolk. So, whole egg. And my hands are very, very clean. We're just going to put that to the side. I'm going to reach in, grab my egg, separate the yolk from the white, just using one of the best tools we have in our kitchen, which is very clean hands. There's our yolk. Here's the egg white, which I'll probably use for lunch. Have a little bit of an omelet or something like that, because yum. And then finally, we're going to add in our cup of browned butter. And as you see, there's lots of little bits. That's all the butter solids. It's the sugars and things. We want all of that. That is, every last bit of that is flavor, and it's intense flavor. We're just gonna get that all kind of mashed together until it is fairly well mixed. Doesn't have to be perfect, just, you don't want big clumps or anything, that's all. Put that away. Oh, I wish you could smell this right now. Of course, if you're doing this with me, you can smell it. That brown sugar and then the brown butter together. Oh, it is lovely, lovely smells. I'm gonna grab a rubber spatula just to kind of help us out in the next parts. There we go. Clean up my little bit of egg mess. And we're going to mix the liquid into the dry ingredients. So just pour all of that. Now, you don't have to have the butterscotch pieces for this. You can do it without it because the brown sugar and then the brown butter are the bases of the flavor of butterscotch. And so these would already be Butterscotch Blondies. I'm just kind of going over the top with the flavor and adding in the butterscotch candy pieces just to, you know, make them more wholesome and lovely for you. Y'all, the flavor is ridiculous. All right, so we have the liquid and the flour, and we're just gonna start folding it in together. And of course the flour has the baking powder and the salt already mixed in. This is going to be a very thick batter, almost a dough that we're working with. And we don't want to mix it too much. We just want to get the flour incorporated into the sugar, butter, egg, vanilla. Now, why blondies? Well, it's because they're not brownies. They don't have cocoa in them. And that's really the big difference here. Most brownies don't also have as much flour as these do. They tend to be more of the liquid side. Now into this, we're gonna go ahead and fold in our butterscotch pieces if you're using them. Store-bought really is fine. I know there's jokes about a certain TV chef who's like, store-bought's fine, you know. It really is. She's not joking. Like, store-bought is, as I make noise, store-bought really is okay, y'all. Like, don't worry about it. It's fine. So use them. However, if you want to make butterscotch yourself, it's kind of worth the effort. Yours won't, unless you use blackstrap molasses. I explained in the butterscotch video, which I will link below. Unless you actually really like blackstrap molasses, your butterscotch will be a bit lighter than mine. I just happen to like very dark molasses. I grew up with it. It's friendly and familiar to me, and I want to stick with it. All right, and there we go. Butterscotch bits are mixed in. Again, we don't want to overmix. We don't want these to be tough. And I have a little pan all prepared for me. This is an 8 by 11. You can do 9 by 13 and they'll turn out perfectly fine, or just a big square, whatever you want. You don't want them too thick, so that's the thing. I do have this lined with parchment, and I am going to spray the parchment just a little bit. These are very, very, very sweet. The amount of sugar in here is kind of unreal right now. And I don't want them to stick in the slightest. So I'm giving myself every advantage I can. So oiled parchment, because parchment itself does a pretty good job. Adding just a little bit of oil to it, not too much. You don't need too much, especially with the amount of butter in here. Just kind of gives you the extra insurance that it won't stick. And you will have to press the dough down into the pan because it's not going to flow. Clean spatula, if that tells you anything about the butter volume inside of this. These are not heart healthy or anything else healthy. I don't even mind. They're still delicious. And that's why you just have small pieces, you know, just half of the pan. Got that, and I'm gonna take a little bit more salt, not too much, a little over a pinch, and just sprinkle a bit over the top just to give that little extra hint of saltiness, because salted caramel, and that's basically what butterscotch is. It's just a different kind. Use brown sugar molasses instead of just regular sugar. That's your big difference on caramel and butterscotch. So, yum. I'm gonna go and get this into my oven that is preheated, and I'm gonna bake it between, let's say, 30 to 35 minutes. I'm gonna start checking, let me check my notes. Yeah, I'm gonna check right around 30 minutes just to see. I'm going to actually use the toothpick method and stick it into the center where I feel that there's very little resistance. The toothpick does not need to come out clean. It needs to come out almost clean. So a little bit can cling to it. That's when you know they're going to still be chewy and not cakey. So that's when I'll stop. I'll take it out and I'm going to let them sit on a cooling rack for about 10 minutes. And once they've kind of come down enough that I can handle the pan, then I'll take them out of the pan itself and let them cool completely on the rack for about 45 minutes at room temperature, and then we'll be back. So I'll see you soon. All right, y'all, we are back. The blondies are done. They ended up baking for about 28 minutes. I'm glad I started checking because they were starting to get a little crisp around the edges, while the center stayed nice and soft and chewy. It's just a lot of sugar and because of the convection. So it's fine. They have cooled for about an hour at this point, and yet they're still a little bit warm. I'm kind of excited. So let's get them cut. I'm using a bread knife just because the butterscotch pieces might offer a little bit of resistance, especially along the bottom, and so the serrated edge helps. But really, any knife will actually do it. Or just a fork, or just the whole thing, you know, eating it. And I'm just going to cut this into small squares. Well, not quite squares, but I'm just going to cut this into small pieces because it's pretty rich, and you shouldn't need too much. Like, the butter is actually coming off onto my fingers a little bit. Like, it's just that fattening and sugary and delicious. These aren't something you eat and walk away super proud of yourself, but they're delicious. And sometimes that's what you need, is something a little bit naughty. There are no bad foods. We know this. But there are things that we should eat less of. This is one of them, so just a little bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab one of the corner pieces because I love sides and corners of things just because of how much more cooked they get. So, oh, wonderful stuff. Oh my gosh. That little bit of salt that we put on the top, fantastic with how sweet this is. And oh, Lord have mercy, it is very sweet. But it's caramelly. You can taste that molasses in the back. It tastes like a really good butterscotch, like candy. Oh, this is delightful. It's soft, it's chewy, it's still warm. The butterscotch candies themselves are a little bit chewy, which is nice, so the texture is kind of lovely. I'm happy with these. They're very buttery. You can taste it, you can smell it. Yummy. I hope you enjoy making this recipe as much as I did. This is one of those, I don't make it often, but when I do, oh, it's worth it. You don't have to do this every day, and you shouldn't. But every now and then, a less than ideal healthy treat is absolutely worth it. That's why you come to my kitchen, right? And until I see y'all again, bye.